If you're like me, you might not like the idea of gatekeepers, but you do want more quality books. So today I want to talk about, should books have gatekeepers for quality control? The quality issue today comes from two different types of authors. The first are people who publish for a reason other than to produce a great book. And the second are people who do not want to invest the time, energy, and money that it takes to produce a high-quality book, but they still want to market to and be read by readers who expect that. First, we're going to talk about what is a quality book, who decides that, and what readers want versus what writers want. If you hang on until the end of this video, I'll let you know how you can get a free readership building checklist, which will help you figure out who your target readers are and where they hang out so you know how to market to them. This is Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers, because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and author. Let's start with, what is a quality book? Crafting a quality book is what most of the videos on this channel are designed to help you do. Quality means solid writing mechanics, good organization, and well-developed storylines. When it comes to deciding which books have high quality and which books don't, the mechanical aspect is a little bit more straightforward and easier to notice. Good writing mechanics mean you're following the rules of grammar, you have limited to no misspellings, your sentences are well constructed and easy to understand, that sort of a thing. There are rules for these in the English language, and you should be following them for the most part. If you're breaking some of these rules, it should be intentional and serve a purpose for your story. That's how you can tell if a book has quality writing mechanics. A good reference for writing mechanics and rules in books is the Chicago Manual of Style. This is the style guide for books. Then we get into the messier parts of a quality book. What makes a book high quality when it comes to the content is very subjective. But in general, a high quality book has characters, settings, and events that are easy to picture and understand. The characters are affected by the events of the story. The plot doesn't meander around too much. It stays on point. And the pacing is fast enough to keep the story moving, but slow enough to cover the key points in depth. All of these aspects of writing you can find covered in some of my other videos. Some of them even have their own series of videos. When you're looking at the quality of your book's content or its story, look to other books in your genre that are successful and that are considered standards for that genre, that are not exceptions to rules, but are the epitome of what that genre is. These books are going to be good guidelines for things like pace, which can vary by genre and by subgenre. And then finally, we have the packaging of the book. You should have a solid cover design and back cover copy that is going to communicate with your target reader that this is the type of book they're going to enjoy. You don't want a cover that looks like it belongs in a romance book on your horror novel, or you're not going to reach your target audience. And the interior design needs to be both pleasing to the eye and disappear when reading, so it doesn't interfere with that reading experience. Audiobooks should have good sound. That means it doesn't get so loud that your reader needs to turn down the volume while they're listening, and it doesn't get so soft that they have to turn it up. Similarly, there should be no background noises. And your narrator should be delivering your story with enunciation, inflection, and clarity. Those are the basics of a quality book. Next, I want to share who decides what is a quality book. For traditionally published books, there are lots of people who act as gatekeepers, who decide when a book is of high quality and ready to be published. The first person is the author. If you believe in your book and you're submitting it to agents, you should believe that it is ready to be published. Then, an agent who acquires that book is the next person who believes it's about ready for publication. At the publishing house, there are lots of different people who decide this. There is the acquiring editor who decides this is a story worth publishing. There are the developmental copy editors and proofreaders who decide that a book is ready to go. And then there is the design team, the marketing team, those people who decide when the book is going to be released and that it is in fact ready. So there's lots of people in the traditionally publishing world who say, yes, this has high quality. That said, there are still some traditionally published books that are awful and that I would argue have terrible quality. And I would say that more and more traditionally published books have more errors in them after they're being released. In the self-publishing world, at the end of the day, it is you, the author, who is the only gatekeeper, who is the person who decides if your book is of high quality and ready to be published or not. There are people who can help you make this decision. Of course, there are your professional editors, whether it's a developmental one, a copy editor, or a proofreader. Then you have beta readers, your writer's critique group, and you have friends and family. I would be cautious about that last one though. They might be a little too nice and say, oh yeah, this is great, when maybe it's still not ready for publication. So you as the author are responsible for that quality when you self-publish. This means you are responsible for putting in the time, energy, and money to produce a quality product. The final people who establish quality control are the readers. Now, these people don't count as gatekeepers because they don't decide whether or not a book is published. They determine the quality after the fact. Readers communicate if a book is of high quality or not through reviews, specifically when they're talking about the writing mechanics, if they're mentioning a lot of errors, or if they're saying things like, I couldn't follow the story, I was confused in the middle, it dragged on. Things like that are letting you know that you maybe don't have the quality that you wanted to put out there. Those are the different people who decide if a book has high quality or not. At the end of the day, yes, we as authors want to produce a quality book, but we also want to make sure that book is read. So next I want to talk about what readers want versus what writers want. The theme of this section is to communicate with your readers. So, if you're the type of author who is writing and publishing a book for a reason other than to produce a high-quality book, you need to communicate this with your readers. You might be thinking, who would do that? Well, there are two types of people. The first are people who publish a book to help their business. Speakers, coaches, experts, small business owners, people who want to get their knowledge out there. So their goal is to share their knowledge and to build their business or their reputation. It's not necessarily to produce a high-quality, well-written book. It's more about that sharing of information. And that is perfectly fine. A lot of people just want to get that straight information. They don't care so much about the writing itself. They're just looking to have their questions answered or to learn something. Let your readers know that that's what your book is. The second type of person who is not interested in producing a quality book is someone who is publishing family stories. What I call family stories are those books that are a collection of essentially family history. Someone has written down the stories their grandparents used to tell at the dinner table, and they have decided to publish those stories to share them with their friends and family. Family stories are not necessarily meant to be consumed by the general public. Often I see these authors say things like, well, it's okay if those people read them too, they might enjoy them. Yeah, they're only going to enjoy them if you've written the book well and you've designed it to be read by someone who has no idea who this person is. Often that's not what a family story book is. What I would love to see for these is if there was a separate subcategory of memoir specifically for family stories. So people who picked up these books know that it's not going to be edited the same way as a traditional book. It's not going to have the same look and feel. There's going to be more errors and different stylistic choices. There might not be an overall message, but they could still enjoy them because these are moments from someone's life. These two types of authors do not have a high-quality book as their end goal. They have different goals for their writing. And that's okay. We just need to communicate that with our readers. Again, there are two types of authors who want to have a high-quality book. The authors who are willing to put in the time, energy, and finances to get that, and the authors who aren't. The authors who aren't willing to invest in their book, and I don't just mean financially. I also mean putting in that time and that energy. Those are the ones who give self-publishing a bad name. Those are the ones who produce books before they are ready. They're not of a high enough quality to be ready for mass consumption. These are the books that I find the most frustrating as a reader myself. I get so annoyed whenever I pick up a book that was in a pretty package. It had a great cover, the back cover blurb was well written and interesting, only to find that it is riddled with errors. It has tons of grammatical errors, spelling errors, or it's just difficult to follow, or it has a bunch of extra stuff that doesn't need to be in there. I get really frustrated as a reader and I stop reading. I don't have the time to invest in those things anymore. Sometimes I'll even return it and ask for my money back. If you're the type of author who wants to be widely read, understand that readers want a high quality product. If you don't know the rules of grammar, you need to find an editor. If this is your first book ever, you need to have someone else read it before you publish it. I'm sure there are things in there that you think belong that don't, or things that are in your head that are not on the paper, and that person can let you know that. If you don't have the money for a professional editor, you need to take the time to learn these things yourself. You need to learn how to revise. You need to trade books with other people and copy edit each other's. You need to join writers' critique groups and put in the time to learn how to revise and to get outside feedback. It's okay if you don't have money to invest, but you are going to have to invest your time and energy. It's a trade-off just like in any business. If you are the type of author who's willing to do these things, thank you, I love you. You're the type of person whose books I want to read. If you're the type of author who is publishing for a reason other than to produce a high-quality book, understand that your pool of readers is going to be smaller because more people want high quality than don't. And communicate with those readers. Let them know what your book is and what it is not. Next, I want to share an author and editor's thoughts on quality control in books. If you're like me, you want high quality books and you don't really like the idea of a gatekeeper. So something like an accepted number of errors that's just the standard for the industry could be helpful. There used to be a standard in traditional publishing for this. There was a set number of errors that were allowed per book, per page, in the beginning, all sorts of places. But I have seen that those standards are just not being upheld right now. So the industry as a whole maybe needs to communicate a little bit more with each other and come up with some sort of a standard. We could also embrace technology. Grammarly, those sorts of things can help, but they're not always right. So instead, I would appreciate something that we can just shoot a book through that's going to say this is the average number of errors per page, just giving us an idea of what that's going to look like for a reader. Now, that only works for the writing mechanics. It doesn't work for the quality of the story itself. Technology is not there yet. I don't know if it ever will be, because this is a creative process. It's not something mechanical, analytical that fits into a box. Another thing that can help with quality control and can avoid us needing any gatekeepers are if we just communicate more with our readers and are honest about what our books are and what they are not. If I produce a collection of stories that my papa used to tell us, I'm going to say that on the book. Say, this is what this is. It is not a memoir. It is not an autobiography. It's a collection of family stories written in his voice. This is also one area where Amazon does well. That look inside feature is a great opportunity for readers to test out a book to see if it has the quality they're looking for. If you're in a bookstore and are looking at physical books, you already have that opportunity. You can flip it open, see how it's written. However, I would love it if authors as a whole could just decide to try to produce the highest quality books they are capable of, to commit to putting in the time, the energy, the finances, the patience to produce those high quality books. That way, by the time they reach a reader's hands, we don't have to worry about the look inside feature and them flipping to the opening pages for the quality of the book. They still might want to do that to see if the book and the story are right for them. However, the quality should already be there, and it only can be if you commit to producing a high quality book. What do you consider a high quality book? And do you think we should have gatekeepers for quality control? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And for more videos on the publishing industry and other aspects of writing, subscribe to Ignited Ink Writing, a channel dedicated to helping authors like you transform your writing so it lingers with your readers, because writing that lingers gets remembered and recommended to others. I'm Caitlin Burvey, editor and author. To find out more about me, go to www.ignitedinkWriting.com. There you will find a readership building checklist, which will help you understand your target readers better so you know where to market to them. And to see my writing, go to CaitlinBurvey.com. That's where you will find my book, When Magic Calls, a collection of modern fairy tales, and some of my other writings. And now it's your turn to think about what makes a quality book, who decides when a book is ready for publication, and commit to producing that quality product to ignite your ink.